All right, and we are live. We got Kevin, the big brother from Men of Now, and my good friend Josh, aka Renegade Wingman. How you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic today. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I was Colorado last week and brought a nice head cold back with me, but I'm gonna persevere. But other than that, I'm doing great. How's the weather out there in sunny California?
It's great. Just glorious. Like we're finally getting into that like spring, summerish weather. So, I mean, it's hard to distinguish here, but it's just some days it's a little extra nice. So we've
Yeah,
been,
I would say the meteorologists in LA have it probably the easiest job in the world. And when they say, Joe, how's the weather? He says, great, back to you. So we don't have that luxury here on the East Coast. Here this time it's 50 in the morning, 90 during the day, and then we get a monsoon every afternoon about 3 o'clock. But we take the good with the bad.
well, there you go.
So, well, tonight Alex couldn't join us. He's having technical difficulties. So we came up with a subject that is very near and dear to me. We talked about it a little bit in pre-show. One thing that I'm a proponent of is always not just leveling up as a person, but leveling up is your education, leveling up your skills that you can be more applicable to either your career or your business, whatever you're starting. So tonight, what I wanted to talk about is the distinction and the pros and cons of online certifications as opposed to traditional college degrees. What's your thoughts on that, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, as we were kind of discussing a little bit before the show, I'm always a big advocate of, hey, you got to choose the best pathway that's for you, but it's helpful to know what your options are and what those are and what those look like. And I think that's a big thing a lot of people are missing these days is they don't fully know what options they have that are available to them because traditionally, right, you're thinking, well, my usual track is, well, either A, I just have to go to college, or B, I just go and immediately start working. And so there's a lot of different options that are available to you. And there's different pros and cons with all of those as well. And I know in this space, college gets trashed on a lot, and a lot of people call it a complete absolute waste of time. But that being said, there are still a lot of people that leverage college very well. They, don't necessarily come out with, mountains of debt, or if they do have a bit of debt, it's very, very manageable. And there's some great, phenomenal experiences that are only available and catered to college students. So there's a lot that can work really, really well for you on the college front if you know how to use it and play it correctly. But if you just kind of roam in with, oh, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to figure life out, then you're just going to kind of waste a bunch of your time and your money on it. So at that stage, it's like definitely not for you. Like, college is supposed to be a very serious thing that you take very serious. And we've kind of over the last like 25, 30 years just treated it more like a willy-nilly luxury hobby than an actual serious endeavor. So, and again, that being said, like, and it may not work out best for you. So it may turn out that, the certification route is far, far better. But the real question is, what do you want to get certified in? So it's really important to like know what your options are and kind of where you want to take it.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important to have a path. Even if you don't know exactly what you want to do, right, graduating high school or a couple of years after high school going to college, at least have a plan. The one thing about college that I think is getting the most flack nowadays is the what I call the fluff classes that they make you take, the basically extortion of a lot of your money and the way they romanticize college loans, like you don't have to pay them back, especially in this era. So if you're on the fence, but you do want to go to college, you want the college experience, you can always start small. Start at your local community college, your local technical college, and do your prerequisites. Those are classes that I don't care what your degree is in, Western Civ, or if your degree is in even business, you're going to have to take Western Civ, biology, just filler classes that they call prerequisites. They're really just classes they're designed to, for in my impression, is to get a little bit more money out of you. So if you don't know exactly what you want to do, look at taking those core classes first while you figure out what you want to do. But now, if it's something, STEM is a big thing that it basically stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Those types of career paths are going to require a degree, especially in engineering. So if that's what you want to do, that's great. But don't just take classes just to fulfill your college experience, just to have fun or to party or protest nowadays, go in it with a level-headed mind. If not, look at maybe going straight into the workforce and then building yourself up there with certifications. And there's thousands of them out there.
Yeah, and the good news and advantage is that like you can go to college and you can still get certifications afterwards, or you can go in the workforce and you can go to college later, right? Like so you have flexibility of options and the timing in which you can adopt these things. But again, a lot of people they don't think like, oh yeah, I can go and get like certified in X, Y, and Z. So that's why I'm like excited that we're talking about this topic today because a lot of people feel that it's like very binary and there's only like one or the other in these two extremes. And it's like there's actually a lot more that you can do that people aren't really aware of. So, I'm real always happy to like let people know what is available to them out there.
Yeah, of course. And a big one, especially in our community, especially the young guys, which I think is great. A lot of them talk about going into coding, cybersecurity, those type of IT type positions. And so the first thing they think of, I need to go to get a computer science degree or something like that. That's going to cost you a lot of money. Once again, have those prerequisite classes that you're going to have to take 4 years. However, there's a lot of certifications out there that you can get on your own: Security Plus, Network Plus, C++. You have those three, you're going to get your foot in the door with any IT company far faster than somebody with just a computer science degree, because they crank those things out like nothing. You pay your money and you show up and you take the test. Fine. Okay. You got your degree. However, those classes you actually had to do on your own. You had to apply yourself. You had to take your test. You have to recertify in those, but you are getting no concentrated lessons on that particular field. And you can do that in far less time with far less money than you could get in a computer science degree.
Yeah, I mean, I've happened to know some people that have worked at some of the major tech companies, and none of them had college degrees, right? And they're building out like very key component areas and teams and infrastructure for these big, massive tech companies that we all know and we all use. So again, there's multiple pathways, and there's a lot that they do have college degrees, but again, you have a lot of different options to use. So really, what it kind of comes down to is asking yourself, like, hey, what direction do I really want to go? And the advantage of certification offers to you is you can get through a certification or get down the pathway and you can decide, you know what, this is definitely not for me. I'm just like every day feels like misery. It's a big chore. I want to rip all my hair out. Like this is not my thing. It's just not landing or sticking. Then you can, correct course and like go into another endeavor for far less money than it would be if you try to correct course while you're in college. So that is a huge advantage, is the flexibility to really like change your mind and it not really like cost you a ton of money.
Yeah, and not a lot of time too. And a lot of people do that, especially young people. They get 3.5 years in and then they make that decision at that point. Maybe this is not what I really want to do, but they've had so much time, so much money invested. They go in and finish, which is admirable, but then they get in a career they don't like and they end up doing something totally different. So looking into online certifications, because you brought it up without saying it, was the industry recognition and the validations that you get from certifications, especially these days, especially with tech companies, is invaluable to those guys. And if you show up with those and a willingness to learn and work hard, that's going to speak volumes more than just a degree or a concentration in a certain field when they actually go into the work that you will actually be doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, because the biggest thing that people don't realize about the workforce is that the workforce and work culture has really shifted away from this idea that companies bring people in and invest heavily in the training. Now it's just easier to poach people that already have the training, right, or certification or know a system. So like a basic level example is like, if you're going to be out in the working world, for about 80% of jobs out there, you want to, have some proficiency in the Microsoft Office suite, right? Word, Excel,
Of course,
that,
yeah.
like that's just the basic, right? They're not going to teach you how to like go through it, any of that type of stuff. So, as companies start cutting their training programs, because one, people are hopping jobs a lot. So it's like, well, if we're going to spend the money and invest in them and they wind up leaping somewhere else, well, it's better just poach someone else's talent because they already know it. So, and then two, from their perspective, it's very much the idea of like pensions and people staying at one company for a long time, just culturally speaking, has just been kind of shifted out. So really now the onus is more on the individual worker of like, hey, what do you bring to the table? Are you already up and going on this stuff? So that's where certifications can really help you check off a lot of those prerequisite boxes and make you much, much more attractive to employers because, again, you're showing and you have proof that, hey, I've checked off these boxes and this, and this. Here's my certifications stating that, you don't have to invest in the training in me. I'm already ready to like hit the ground running from day one. So that's a huge advantage that certifications provide is that it's, really is curtailed to excelling in the current corporate culture and climate that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. If you don't know it and you think you need to learn it, learn it. There's, Skillshare is a great website out there that I think it's a paid website. I haven't been on there for a while, but you can learn several different things. And you can even, if you get good enough, you can even put your own courses on there and make money off of them. But say if you walk into your office and on the third day, one of your colleagues is doing a pivot table on Excel and you don't know what the hell a pivot table is. And you ask them, do we use that a lot? And he was like, yeah, you don't know how to do a pivot table. You need to get your ass in higher learning on your own and learn how to do a pivot table. You can learn how to do stuff like that. And it's all online and free to you. Most of it's free to you. Now, other certifications like the financial coaching course that I just went through, it cost me a little bit of money, but I did it at my own pace. And I did it because I wanted to level up in my personal life. And so if you go into that attitude and continuously learn, not many jobs out there other than manual labor that you don't want to be in for very long are going to require you to continuously learn and get better. So that way you can remain competitive with your peers or even outdo your peers. So continuously learning and leveling up is something that needs to be, especially for us as men, needs to be one of your top priorities.
Yeah, and that's something to really like consider, is always your situation, right? So it's like, college is the, self-managed learning with the social aspect, whereas certification is just the pure self-managed learning. So you have to figure out which one's better for you, right? Because again, certifications are great and they'll save you a lot of money, but you won't have the opportunity to like move out of your parents' house, right? Whereas college, you can go live on campus, right? You can go have your friends and have a lot more of that social experience in that social environment. So those are kind of the two different ways to think about it. So that's why there's the premium for college, because it comes with more of the social onus and the social experience side to your self-managed learning, as well as certain opportunities that are just not available to anyone else. Like, for example, study abroad, where, again, you have the chance as a young kid to go live in another country, a completely different part of the world, and, again, learn and interact and just experience that culture, which is pretty invaluable. So that's a really cool, awesome thing. But at the same time, like, there is a very large cost that's associated with it, and there is a bill that's due once you come out. So really what you want to think about is, when it comes to your self-managed learning, do you really want that social aspect to it? Or do you really want just, hey, I'm good and I'm on my own and I can really dial down? And again, just because you have a college degree does not mean you can't get certifications. Or just because you're thinking about going to college doesn't mean you can't forgo college, get some certifications, and then go do college later if you really want to. So, there's a lot of options you have out there.
Yeah. And you take advantage of those options. One thing, you brought it up earlier about the traditional way that my parents went through is, you graduated high school, some people got to go to college, some people didn't, but then you got with a company that you could stay with for 40 years and then you would get a pension from that company and they would take care of you. But those days are pretty much long gone, unless it's something like the military that you can have a guaranteed paycheck, post office, something like that. But those days of corporate pensions are pretty much gone, and the rise of 401ks have come in. And once I left active duty several years ago, and I got my first job with Lockheed Martin, the level 4 that was above me, he even told me that. He said, the way you make money in corporate is, for one, you make yourself indispensable. Nobody needs to know what you do. And so that way they keep you on. But every 3 years, you go looking at competitors, seeing what they have the same position, see if they'll give you more. And if they'll give you a 20% raise every 3 years, you might look to hop jobs. And he brought it up to me like it was actually not a bad thing to do. And being in the military, especially as an NCO, your job is to make sure your guys know everything you know, that way your job can be completed in your absence. So that was a learning curve for me to know that, okay, yeah, now I have to learn how to separate the military life to corporate life and know how to play the game to make more money, to level up. And in the same time, you're continuously educating yourself, leveling your own wisdom up, and then also every 6 to 8 months sitting down with your boss saying, hey, I want more responsibility so I can contribute more to the company, obviously, so I can earn more, but I want to be better and be better for you, because if you're not the boss, you're going to be working for somebody. Even the boss's boss is going to be working for somebody. So you always need to be looking for that next level up or how to make more money, because if not, no, most people don't have a problem seeing you sit in that level 3 position while they go around you to that level 4 or level 5. So you always have to be basically looking out for your own future.
Yeah, and that's just the game of life in a nutshell, right? Because again, it doesn't matter where you are, where you land. You always want to be sure that you're maximizing whatever your situation is. And the job market's no different. You always got to do like what's best for you. But what is also in your best interest and best for you is making sure that you are the absolute best, most valuable, indispensable resource that you possibly can be. Otherwise, if you're just sitting around going like, well, I contribute absolutely nothing, but I want to raise. It's like, well, all right, tough luck. Like there's other people out there that are actively working really hard to, make sure that they are earning it. So there is still a lot of that meritocracy aspect to it. And for those of you guys that are looking into going into the more entrepreneurial routes and things like that, that's where, again, colleges as well as, certifications can both be used to your advantage as well. Because again, your resume, right? No one knows who you are, what it is that you do or provide. That goes on your resume, whether you have a college background, whether you have, certifications that you can use or exploit. College can be nifty because there's a lot of networking that happens in there. So again, I've made some very amazing contacts during my time in college, and that actually helped me out and has actually come to circle back for quite a few entrepreneurial ventures as well. So that can work out really, really well. But again, the certification route can be great because now you can go in and start networking with other people, and you can have an instantaneous level of credibility as well in a very specialized field with whatever project it is that you're working on. So, that's the other thing to think about too, is that, using college or using certifications, it's not just for going out in the workforce and getting a job, but it's also extremely helpful for, your entrepreneurial ventures. And we'll really detail that a little bit more, but we'll save that for the community kickback chat, because that's where
we're almost there, man. 20 minutes go by fast when we get to wrapping. But like I said when we started the stream, this is something that I'm very passionate about, especially leveling up. And I think that's some of especially the young guys, they don't really know how to take me. I'm known as the big brother, just because probably I'm the oldest besides another good friend of ours. I won't name names, but I had some mentors earlier in my career, especially my corporate career, that told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And that was the best thing for me, other than just coddling me and saying, okay, they injected hope, but they told me straight up, okay, if you're failing at something, buddy, you need to pull it fucking together. And I took that to heart, and I didn't take offense to it. I didn't have thin skin that I got offended by it. When they told me that I needed to tighten something up, I tightened it up. And I didn't only tighten it up, I Loctited it to make sure it never happened again. And so that's, I took that mentorship and I apply it to my own mentoring now, that, there's a time to empathize, but then there's also a time to put a foot in the butt and tell you what you need to hear. And that's why I'm always constantly telling guys, hey, you need to do this to level up. If you need some help, you need some focus, you need some advice, I'm here for that. But buddy, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, especially if I'm thinking you're going down the wrong path. And you can take that advice or you cannot, but just know it always comes from endearment. And it's because I care about, especially our guys over the Men of Now. I want to see everybody succeed, but moreover, I want to see the guys at the Men of Now just knock it out of the fucking park.
And you all can. So that's the big thing. So, we're just trying to figure out what's the best route that we can do to help. So,
well, hey man, 7:00 Queen, quick. We got to jump over to our closed door meeting with the Men of Now. If you see this, you're not a comment, leave a comment, like, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. If not, reach out to us and we will make it better.